So previously on the campervan reconversion vlogs, we didn't fit the flooring properly because of the weather, and the furniture didn't assemble very well because there was bits missing and it hadn't been made properly. Hi, I'm John and you're watching the Campervan Reconversion Vlogs, where we take our VW T6 long wheelbase, rip out the old crappy interior that we didn't like, and basically put in something that we like and is considered to be a fairly standard conversion these days. So this week we actually get rid of the old furniture. It went on eBay and we got £820 for it. So that was fantastic to get rid of it out of the garage, so I got some space to do some more work and obviously help pay towards all the other things that we're having to buy. So that was really good. We took up the flooring again that we fitted last week and refitted it properly because it had started to peel. The weather conditions were awful, as you saw. There was snow coming in when we were trying to glue it down, and we just really wasted our time last time. So basically took it all back up and re-glued it, absolutely plastered it with glue and everything. It's gone down and it's now brilliant. It looks so much better. We had the trouble with the furniture last time as well, so we went back to the supplier. We actually drove there one morning and sat there for pretty much around about 5 hours while we reconfigured all the bits and bobs to show them what didn't fit, what had been made incorrectly, and what they'd measured from our old van now didn't work, and all sorts of things like that. Unfortunately, the upshot of that was that the owner just got fed up, and we left having probably assembled about a third of it, and some of it still didn't fit. Their argument was it wasn't their fault, even though I kept going back saying, well, your guys measured it. I came in my van with the appliances I was going to use and you all measured it, but no, still not right. So it was too high for the interior, and I've since found out that the fridge is too wide for the unit itself. So the guy had taken the measurements of the fridge, they'd made the units to that size, and then not accounted for the fact that, you know, the plywood is 16mm and it's either side, so it's now 32mm, too narrow to fit the fridge in. So there was all this going on, and in the end they decided to give me some of my money back and just call it quits because they were fed up. I get the idea that they just want to sell to people on eBay, and maybe they have bad returns or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't a really great experience. However, what it's meant really is that we're just going to build it ourselves. We're going to use everything we bought from them and just modify it, saw it down, mill things out, change the configuration, do whatever to make sure it fits properly. And that's what we've started to do. So this week we needed to get the front kitchen unit in, so that when we had the seat bed fitted, it only came forward to a certain amount, so it didn't hit the cupboards in a certain way. So the cupboards we've got is kind of like a maybe traditional for a campervan reconversion things. You kind of look at it as you walk in and you see a big open space that's normally got the fridge in it. It sticks out a little bit because obviously the depth of the fridge is bigger than the rest of the units. Obviously that creates a little bit of an L sort of angle, which meant that the bed had to fit behind that, which it did, and that was all done. But we needed to get the kitchen in so that we knew that kind of measurement and everything else. So we moved on in the week once we got the bare bones of the kitchen fitted, and we had the bed fitted then. The bed was fitted absolutely really professionally and brilliant by Peter at Autoglide, and you can see on screen now what they're called. He fitted it. If you search for Autoglide camper beds, I'm sure you'll find it. Did a great job. The price was very competitive. It's a super bed, fits perfectly, and the way it's fitted is that when you actually sit on the bed, you come so far forward in the cab now that you can see out of the two windows at the side. It's a bit like being in a black cab, so you've probably got around about 4 foot of 3 to 4 foot of space before the front seats, which means that you can still speak to people, you can hear them, and you can see out of the window. So it's quite a comfortable position for passengers. And also the beauty about it being fitted so far forward is that we get a bigger boot space behind as well, so that's worked out really well too. But the fridge is in, it's fitted in there, built a shelf underneath it and some supports to support the weight, and the gas burners and sinks all fitted in there. Obviously we went through a weird learning process on that one. We fitted the sink, but then like when we were closing the lids weren't closing properly. What we realised were that the 6 or 7 screws that the SMEV is held into your worktop with, those screws come with a sort of a metal cap, and in the metal cap sits a rubber bung, and all those bungs are meant to hold the glass lid off the metal surface so it doesn't vibrate or shatter. The metal sort of caps that are around the screw, they need to be countersunk in your worktop around about 4 to 5 mil, and then you screw through them, and then it all sits nice and flush. So if you are doing it, just bear that bit in mind, that you do need to countersink the SMEV worktop screws, and then it all sits nice and flush. I did also find out underneath that as I'm driving it around, things are rattling and everything else. So I found some pipes underneath, like regulator pipes and gas pipes, that weren't working so well because they were rattling, and as I'm driving on the road right behind my ear rolled, I've now got this rattle. So with a few little cable ties and things like that, I was able to resolve that rattle as well. So the other thing we needed to do as well was to go through the fitment of like the water bottles. You know, we spoke last time about waste collection or waste out of the van kind of through a hole. Obviously I'm going with what I've always done, so I'm choosing to collect the waste. So that means carrying 2, I think they're 15-litre bottles under the kitchen units, one for fresh water, one for wastewater. So I've plumbed those in as well. The cupboard that we chose to fit it under the sink was divided by a shelf. It's quite strange. It almost seems like no one's ever been camping that's kind of built this furniture, because surely you would do what we've done, which is to take the shelf up a little bit and bring it forward, which means that you can get your bottles underneath, and then you can get to the pipe connectors and everything around the back and drop all the pipes in. So we've done that one. We are then sort of going to the back now. We're going to put all the wiring in. That's going to be the next episode, because that's just sort of quite intense to do the wiring from here, there and everywhere, and all the fuses and connections and switches and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to do one entire episode on the wiring just to get that one out there, and hopefully I'll try and break it down to make it easy enough for people to follow. If you're doing it yourself and you want to know how difficult it isn't that difficult. I'll drop that bomb now. It just involves a little bit of planning and safety aspects to things as well. So won't say any more about that one, but that's going to be on the next episode. So from this point on now, obviously need to do the wiring, and then we can move back and finish off the cupboards and everything around the back. But yeah, made a lot of progress this week. Obviously the bed being done is fantastic. The bed is a very comfortable bed, very easy to operate. It's an M1 fully crash tested bed with a certificate, which is great because we're going to carry obviously passengers and everything in the back there. It either allows you to have some sort of like recline as well to the bed, or the seat, so as you're travelling you can recline it slightly, you know, to make it a little bit more comfortable. Or say you're just lounging around at night, you can recline it a little bit as well to lounge easier. But ultimately the same lever pulls all the way out, and then you just kind of like, you know, rest on the bed, and the bed goes flat, clicks into place. And then there's a really cool sort of like James Bond button to press to get the bed back up as a seat. So basically press the button, the bed pops up, and then you just click it back into the recline position you want. So really easy to use bed. I've seen some really complicated weird ones out there, but this is so easy to use, seemingly easy to install as well. Peter did a great job finding the hole that was underneath the van floor, because obviously we put a new flooring over the top of that hole that was there for the old table leg. If you've not watched that, go and watch episode 2. And then that hole has now been covered up by the plates that he's used under the chassis to bolt the new bed down to. All that was done, measured it all and everything else, as you can see, and honestly it was such a brilliant job. Very professional, knew what he was doing, took the time and attention to make sure that everything was fitted in the right place and that kind of stuff, and very, very happy indeed. Lovely day out to Wales. So that really concludes this little episode. Like I say, it's going to progress on from here, probably really a lot quicker than you would have thought from now, because after the electrics finishing the cupboard off, it is then just kind of titivating and like putting the front board on that goes on the front of the like the kick bait of the seats to keep everything in when you're travelling around, and then the back and shelving bits and everything, put that in there. And then Mandy can actually do what she's been wanting to do all along and put bunting and fairy lights and plastic things and command hooks and command strips and boxes all over the place for storage and do all that kind of stuff. So that'll be fun in my mobile man cave kind of thing, to have it all ladyfied. But anyway, that's next week's episode. Well, it's not actually, that might be in a couple of weeks, but next week's episode is going to be all about the wiring and the finishing off of the little bits like that. Hopefully get the cupboard actually finished and built at the back then, and do some other titivating little bits and get it all wired up. So thank you very much for watching. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. To the idiot that keeps hitting the thumbs down button, like, you know what, such an idiot. And to the rest of you, have a great day, enjoy your camping, and thanks for watching. I'll see you again. Bye.